I think Instagram was trying to say we're talking too much. What the heck just happened? So that's fine because we'll just have a part 1 and a part 2, but that was weird. Let me send this back to Josh. I think Instagram was trying to say we're talking too much. Oh my gosh, that was crazy. I think I accepted it.
Apparently, I was saying too much.
I was gonna
Apparently, I
say,
was
is it
saying
just
too much.
trying to say we talking too much?
I don't know what happened. Apparently, I was
There's
giving.
a time limit to be online?
I guess so. I don't know because it was like it wrapped up literally at an hour. So I don't know.
Right, that was weird.
I don't know what happened.
That's fine. It'll
Yeah.
just be part 1, part 2.
All right.
But yeah, so
All good. All good. I'm having fun. So, what's it called? Where was that? What was I talking about? I was talking about money, which I love talking about. But yeah, but basically, what I was just trying to get at was, yeah, aligning. What's it called? If you can figure out and really know what your audience likes and really connect with them. This is why engaging with your audience is so important because you really get to know them. By finding those products and services, you can create, what's it called? You can find sponsors that maybe aren't necessarily the biggest, but could be more consistent and you have more of a long-term partnership with them. Because I'd much rather have consistent money than, taking forever. Because like taking forever to get like these really, really big sponsors sometimes because it's just, even when you get them, it can be a long time to get to be paid, but there's a lot of rejection that goes along with them. There were so many other sponsors that they tried. This ad agency was trying to quote unquote get us sponsors for, and it took, we got rejected a lot. So might as well try to find someone that already appreciates you. And sometimes you can find the person in your audience already that owns a business or owns something, those are also really great opportunities to also just tell your audience, be like, hey, we're looking for sponsors. You never know who is in your audience that's be like, hey, maybe they'll support you crowdfunding wise, but maybe they also want, to have their business advertised on your podcast. So
I made
definitely let people know.
Sponsorship deck for this show, but I'm not sending it out yet because I don't know what my sponsorship will look like because I record from home.
Yeah.
I mean, most women would be like, what, if you want me, if you're a clothing designer, I'll wear your stuff on a live or a mug. I don't know. I'm still trying to figure that out, but yeah. I don't know that. I mean, eventually I might go back into the studio.
Yeah.
Who knows?
But, there's some people that also, I'm not like the biggest proponent of this, but I know there are people that do it. And this is really more in, if you're like, I really feel like I know a lot of people that do this sort of like in the personal finance space or whatever. Like if you're a big name or whatever, they'll have if you're a big name, they'll have guests pay them to be on their podcast. And that is another revenue stream. I'm not hating on it. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not going to be mad. However you get your bag is however you get your bag. What's going on, Nikki, by the way? I see you in the chat. I'm not mad about that. But at the same time, I just know for me personally, like, that's not something that I would really want to do. But that is there is an opportunity to do that, especially if you've grown to a certain extent.
I think it depends on the content too.
Yeah.
I'm not paying my format for this. I don't want people paying me to come up here to spit gems to people. Eventually, I would love to get to a place where I can pay guests. That way, people are most likely, because I reached out to a bunch of people, and a lot of people were like, "Oh, I'm not interested." And I'm like, "I get it. You don't know me. It's fine." Yeah. But if I have some money involved, like, "Oh, I'll pay you this. Like, what's your fee?" Then it'll probably be different. Yeah. But yeah, having people pay me to be on my platform just sounds weird. I'm not knocking nobody, but it sounds weird.
And a lot of people, and to be honest with you, there are also people that do the reverse too. Like there are people that are podcasters that pay guests to be on their podcast too, which is also something that I'm frugal as hell. I love saving my money. I'm not really into doing that. I don't really advise people to do that because like it sets up a weird power dynamic. You know what I mean? Like, when it comes to the actual interview, it's just like, oh, paid someone to be there. And maybe they might be, I mean, hopefully they better be they better be a great guest if you paid them to be there.
They might do the bare minimum because I already got paid.
Yeah.
I'm just here to render services.
Yeah, and I've also seen that happen too, and that makes me that pisses me off so much. For like, I've seen that happen to a handful of clients, and I'm just like, yeah, I don't know if you should do that again. It can be a really dicey situation, but like I feel like if you're gonna do that, that person better be worth the bread.
Right.
That's really all I gotta say.
Right. Some people just pay people just because they're a big name and they just want them on their podcast too. But it's like, I'd rather it happen organically. Like I try to do the bare minimum and just make sure that my content just has value in it, even with the bare minimum. Like even with me going live, like I'm not trying to stress nobody out. Like, oh, you have to come to the studio. Like I just need an hour or plus of your time, however you can give me to talk about it. Just let it flow.
Yeah.
That's why I'm not too stern on it has to be a Thursday. If you can't do it Thursday, okay, well, go live another day. It's fine. Right? The content is going to live on YouTube anyway. I don't care. I mean, I care, but I don't care.
Yeah. I mean, I think when I said that too about being consistent, it's like, if you happen to miss a day here or there, but you but it comes out the next day or something like that, like that's not the end of the world. Like if you're 30 episodes into this and you maybe miss a week, but then you let people know it's coming out the next day or next couple of days or something like that. Like you can do that, but I just feel like when you're right out the gate, you know what I'm saying? Like those first,
you have to set a standard and create a schedule.
Yeah.
So people get used to it, especially when you're trying to build your community.
Exactly.
I think I should have asked this in the beginning, but what are some common mistakes that you think people make when starting their podcast and how they can avoid it?
Oh, man, there's a lot of mistakes that people make. There's a lot of rookie mistakes that people make. Some of them are really basic, and some of them are more structured. Some of them are really more foundational. Like the biggest thing is just like, not knowing what the number one thing I said before is just like not knowing what their podcast is about. It's really hard, even if you have a lot of other good things in place, it's really hard to start your podcast if you don't really understand like what it's about yet. Sure, you can figure it out over time, but I'd probably say some of the biggest mistakes that are obvious that I see is like number one is, and I'm pretty sure I mentioned this as one of the tips that I was giving, which will be coming back, by the way. I've just been really busy. But one of the things that I think people do that they really shouldn't do, especially if they have co-hosts, is to like have a conversation like amongst themselves and don't ever talk to the audience or acknowledge the audience at all, and then like expect people to care about that conversation.
You say that a lot, actually.
Like
you have to at least acknowledge that people are listening to this.
Acknowledge that people are listening. Like it's a really, really key thing. Like I've even tried to do it here while I'm talking to you. I'm just like, listen, for anybody out there watching and listening right now, like you need to be doing what I'm doing right now by acknowledging you. Yes, you're here,
And those who want to watch it later.
Yeah. And those who want to watch it later, yes. You're here. Hi, how you doing? Like, hope you're doing well. Hope these gems were good for you. But like, you need to be able to interact with you need to interact with your audience, and you can't be having conversations that are only one way between you and your co-host, or maybe you and a guest or something like that. You need to make people feel included in the content. The more you can make people feel like they're a part of the conversation, the more people are going to be attached to it. And my wife always makes fun of me because she's just like, it's not narcissistic isn't the right word, but the truth is we all want to be secretly acknowledged, whether we know it or not. And I'm telling you that like it's the secret weapon that a lot of people don't even know that they need to be doing. And granted, like you don't need to be direct with it all the time. You don't need to talk to the audience, like literally look into the camera and talk to people directly like that. But literally all you need to do is just say things just like, yeah, JiJi, like for anybody out there that's thinking about doing podcasting, I think they should, consider doing X, Y, and Z. I didn't stop the flow of the conversation, but just by simply acknowledging people like that, it will make them feel seen, and when you make people feel seen and make people feel heard, they are going to gravitate towards you.
It's true about the whole narcissist thing, because if someone's live and I go in there live and I say something and they don't acknowledge what I said, I'll jump off. There's a guy on TikTok who I literally subscribe to. He goes live and all he does is play San Andreas. He done beat the game so many times, but he plays it over and over again. And I joined because every time I go, he shows me love. Like, oh, gee, you back from yesterday?
Yeah.
Like, don't know this man, don't know who he is. I literally pay monthly to support him and buy little gifts and stuff on TikTok. I don't like doing that shit for people regularly, but I like his content. He just plays San Andreas all day. And it's a whole community of people who love San Andreas, and we just be in the comments talking. It's certain people I go on live or go on the live and I see the same names. I'm like, oh, hey, how was work? Like, we just have full-blown conversations, which is weird. It's not weird, but it's just like, wow, that's true. Had that man not acknowledged me, I would not have been going on there. But the fact that he actually said something.
It's all about the engagement. It really, really is. It's about the engagement, both inside and outside the podcast. You know, through the content, and then whenever you're doing your marketing, and just being as engaging as possible with people. Like, you know, that makes people feel good. It makes them feel seen. You know, and that's something that's really, really key and really, really important. You know. And even if you only have, I always also tell people this in terms of, like, you know, we were talking about monetization earlier. If you have 10 people that really rock with you and they're all willing to donate $10 a month, that's $100 you didn't have. You know what I'm saying? That's $100 you didn't have. And, yeah, you know, and that's why I try to say, like, you don't get me wrong. Like, if you get millions of people that are willing to subscribe to you, pay money to whatever content that you're creating, that's awesome. But think about how, like, if I just told you, like, oh, all you need is 75 people. And don't get me wrong, it's work to get to those 75 people that really rock with you, but that's a much more attainable number. It might not even be that high. It could be 50, it could be 20, it could be, you know, however many number of people, but you don't need that many people to at least help support, you know, the money and time and effort that you're putting into the content that you're creating, you know? Because I think, like most podcasters, and I feel like this way about most creators, are just like, shit, if I just get my money back, you know, if I just get my money back, at least if I'm not losing money, like, I can keep doing this because it's fun, you know? Right. And I think that's one of the reasons why I think crowdfunding, and granted, like, you can crowdfund and make legitimate money. I'm not even trying to say that, but, like, I think crowdfunding is really good to, at least because you don't need that many people to cover your production costs, you know? So
I feel like if I could find someone to pay for me to go into the studio, I will be in there with no problem.
Exactly. And, you know, and you know, these things, monetization is something that I also tell people too, is like, you know, some people are a little bit afraid of monetization or feel like it's, you know, they're afraid to sell themselves or whatever. But the truth of the matter is, I'm just like, the reason why I say you should monetize from the jump is because I'm like, it costs real time and real money. And in my world, time is money. So I'm like, it costs real time and real money to do a podcast. And I also remember something I wanted to sort of answer a little bit better. Like, one thing people need to, like, understand when they first start their podcast is, like, this is a job. It's a real job. Like, and you should treat it like a job.
Yeah.
Like, because a lot of people start a podcast and they'll start it and they'll be like just hoping and praying. Like, they'll start it, they'll record it, they'll have fun recording, but they're just hoping and praying that things will just magically happen for them. I'm like, that's not really how this works.
Yeah, you have to actually put in work.
Yeah, like I'd probably say like 90% of the work, 90% of the reason, or like 90% of the work that goes into a podcast that will make you successful is everything you do outside the podcast and not the recording process. Like, the recording process is actually the recording is fun. The recording is the easy part, and it should be the easy part, assuming that you've prepared. But if you want to know what makes a podcaster successful, it's everything that they're doing when they're not recording. Because that's where most of the work and where most of the success lies, in everything that you're doing when you're not recording. Whether it's preparing to make good content, whether it's marketing your content, you know, whether it's building a team, you know, all those things are way more important will be like exponentially more important in determining whether or not your podcast will be successful.
Right. So I would love to keep this going, but remember you told me podcast episodes can't be too long because you're going to lose. I know my first episode was like 2 hours long.
Mm.
That was crazy. And we were just talking about like friendships. That was ridiculous. And that was the first time I mentioned, you were just like, you know, your goal should be 45 to an hour. And I'm like, okay.
Yeah, it's like 5 is good. I mean, like, I never tell anybody, like, you know, I probably said this to you in studio because I repeat myself all the time, but I mean everything that I say. I'm like, if the content is still good, you can keep rolling. But the minute it's over, don't drag it.
Right.
Like, just leave it where it's good. It's good after that. Like, you don't need to do anything else. So.
Do you have any, I was going to say, like, final advice for podcasters, but I don't think we touched on solo podcasters enough. So I guess any advice for people who are doing it by themselves?
So,
like
yeah, so like, what's it called? So like the number one thing, and to be honest with you, this applies to all podcasters, but like I would say the number one thing is to like, part of the reason why I'm doing this course that I'm doing is the course is focused on making your content better. Like that is the first and foremost thing that I tell people to focus on, because if you really just work and focus on your content, like at least for me, like if I know I got the goods, I can figure out the marketing plan later. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, like I can figure out how to, you know, if I know that I got the goods, like marketing will be that much easier, because when you got a dope product, when you got dope content, like it can market, it's practically marketing itself at that point, in that point in time. Yeah, do you have to do some things or whatever? Do you have to have like a plan in place? Absolutely. Do you have to know what you're doing to a certain extent? Absolutely. But I say that to say that, like, if you don't have good content, it's not going anywhere. Like, it's just not. Like, even if you have the greatest marketing plan in the world, like the only people that manage to have crappy content and manage to be successful with that crappy content is because and had like a great marketing plan, is because somewhere along the way they were able to make their content good. You know, it might have taken them some time, but like they might have had an awesome marketing plan, but eventually their content got better as they grew. But for the most part, I always tell people, like I said before earlier, the larger reason why your podcast is not working is because you have a content problem. Now, you might have a huge content problem. It might just be a tweak here, a tweak there, but you kind of need to get some feedback from your audience. You get a feedback from individuals like myself.
You want to give it.
Yeah, because I'm definitely going to give it. I always give it. But what you really need to do is focus on your content first and foremost. Because if you have good content, it's like having gold. Like it's just, you know, it's just all about, you then just need to strategize about how you want to market this good content. But when the content isn't hitting, it doesn't really matter how good your marketing plan is at that point in time, unless you're actually taking the steps to actually make your content better over time. That's really what it comes down to. And that's really why I focus on it so hard. Like I really go so hard to try to help people realize the things realize the things that you need to make your content better. And a lot of them are very, you know, easy fixable things and small things. And I also try to sort of focus on, people don't know how to really be clear about like how, when they're speaking or the content that they're talking about, people go off on this tangent and that tangent, kind of like how I'm doing right now. So don't be like me.
But it all matters though.
Yeah, but these are the kinds of things that I help people sort of hone in and focus on, and being like, you know, you can't lose your listener in the middle of the podcast, or viewer in the middle of the podcast. You can't. There's plenty of people that overtalk each other. You have to look at all the things that are the reason why you're not holding your audience's attention, because if you don't have their attention, you don't have an audience. So like these are the things that I really try to focus on in the course that I'm working on right now.
When is the course dropping?
So it's probably, yeah, it's going to be dropped. I did say spring. And I know if there's anybody that's listening to this that already kind of knew this already, they'd be like, damn, spring, like you said winter, you said blah, 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 blah. But like, but I'm probably going to be doing a pre-sale. It's probably going to go up on pre-sale at a discount within about 3 weeks or so. I kind of just need to shoot the promo for it. And then I'm hoping to have it out by, at the earliest, the end of March. But at the but at the latest, middle of April. You know, it may be sooner if I can get my ass in gear. But you know, I
definitely want this pre-sale. I want to be a part of this.
Yeah, you know, hook you up with a pre-sale. So I'm telling you, like, it will. You know, I'm really not trying to like overhype it or anything like that. But truth of the matter is, I'm just like, it literally just talks about all the things that you need to do in order to make sure that your content is solid. Like at the end of the day, like the ideas still need to come from you. You still need to go. The content still comes from you. I can't be the one creating the content for you. But what you need, what's it go? But what I try to tell people is like if you're brand new in podcasting or brand new to podcasting, this course is worth the money because it will. I'm not saying that I can raise your ceiling for you to become like the biggest podcaster in the world, but I definitely know if you check out the course, it'll raise your floor and start, and it will get rid of all the sort of
foundation.
It'll give them a very, very solid foundation because a lot of people put a lot of people in the beginning when they first start podcasting, they put all these barriers in the way in between them making good content, and they don't even realize that they're doing it. And for me, I'm just trying to remove those barriers for you to at least get off to the best possible start and the most clear start for your audience to really get an understand of what it is that you're trying to say and what your content is actually about.
There we go. So one thing I do with my guests at the end is going to be different for you, though, because you have a whole studio. So I want you to first describe your studio in 3 words and then describe yourself in 3 words.
Wow. I would actually, you know, it's really funny. Like, I don't like to think of myself like, oh yeah, like I am like my business, but I really modeled my business after me. Like, if I'm being honest with you. So like, so a lot of these things, so these 3 things might be things. I would say first and foremost is comfortable. Like, I want you to feel comfortable in my studio, regardless of who you are. I don't care about your background, walk of life. Like, I really enjoy people. I want people to feel comfortable. I want people to feel like when they come to the studio that they can get done what they need to get done because they're in a relaxed but professional environment where they feel like they can do and say the things that they want to say without any judgment from me, without any judgment from my staff, and that you are in a friendly, professional environment. So first thing is I want people to feel comfortable. Number 2, I also want you to let you know that I'm here to help you. Like, if you need me, like, I'm not gonna, if you don't need me, it's cool. Like, you know, there's some people, there's some people that really, there's some people that just use this as a straight up recording studio, and that's fine because they have like 40 other producers that, you know, that are working. You know, when I do stuff for bigger media companies and stuff like that, they don't need me. They don't need me at all. But if you do need me, I'm here to help you. I'm here to help you, and I'm here to give you that honest feedback if you need it and want it. Some people don't want it. Hey, that's cool. If you don't want it, it's fine, but I'm gonna offer it to you because like I'm gonna be listening. I'm gonna be listening and I'm gonna be watching, and I'm gonna write down some things that I see that maybe you can improve upon, and you know, and then the third thing I would probably just say, third thing about the studio that I would say is, we just like and I say this about myself, like I just never try to stop improving, like, you know. I really, really never try to stop improving. And that's largely because, like, you know, as much as some people would be like, oh, yeah, you guys have a great service, you know, and stuff like that, which I believe that we do, or like the people tell me, you know, have told me like, oh, you've given me such great advice, great feedback, you know, and stuff like that. All I ever see, like 99% of the time, is ways that I can get better. Like, there's always ways that I can get better. Like, as much as like I've given a lot of advice and feedback to probably at this point, no lie, like hundreds of podcasters, like literally hundreds of different podcasters. But I also know every time that I've given that advice it didn't come out exactly the way that I wanted to and stuff like that. And usually I'm really good with connecting at people, and like 9 times out of 10, I'm really good at it. But I'm usually thinking about that one person that I was like, damn, I didn't say that the right way to connect with them so they could understand what I'm trying to tell them to try to help them. So those are the things that I would say. Like, and in terms of like the studio, same thing. Like, I'm always trying to upgrade the studio. Like, the last time you've been in the studio, it looks a lot different from the last time you've seen it.
No, you guys have the setup now with the couches, because that's a popular podcast setup now.
Yeah. Well, you know, I'm making,
I
you know,
like the mic, and I'm still old school. I like the mic and all of that. I don't. It's too much for me. I don't know. I like the setup of a mic. Yeah,
me too. I mean, like, we got looks for everybody now. We're even going to be doing some a little bit of remodeling, hopefully, in the spring too. So yeah, so like there's a lot of things in the works. So yeah.
I've been saying this. You guys need to do some type of event.
Yeah, I know. I know. I think the truth of the matter is like, I think it was like, we will. Let me just put it that way. We will.
I thought you were about to shut it down.
No, we will. We will. No, we will at a certain point in time. I just think the hardest part for me is just trying to figure out how I want to organize, because it's like we have so many different podcasters that are doing so much different stuff. I mean, I got I got a witchcraft podcast. I got a true crime podcast that's coming out. We got so many different podcasts and the thing is, I'm gonna have when I do the event, I'm gonna have all of them in one space, but I just want to figure out how can I make it feel as inclusive as possible, how everybody can feel viewed and shared. Like, you know what I'm saying? I want everybody to feel seen. And I just think in my mind, like the perfectionist that I am, I'm just like, I want it to be such a great event. Like I want everybody, regardless of like background, race, ethnicity, like I don't care about that. I want people to come in there and feel seen and heard. That's really what I want.
That's amazing.
Salute to you, Nikki. Like, appreciate you. Like, whenever somebody tells me like, I help them or whatever, like that's what I do this for. Like I said this before at the top, like it's not about recording the podcast for me. It's about being able to help you being able to express yourself in a way so that you can actually reach the audience that you're trying to reach.
And we love that. And that's why you're here as a guest on my platform.
And I appreciate you.
Thank you. I appreciate you. Oh my God. Like when I started my podcast, I might bring it back. I don't know. But every time someone asks me about it, I'll be like, leave me alone. Don't stress me out about that podcast.
Well, you got all the intangibles. Like I tell you that right now. Like there's definitely some people who, you know, there's many different types of podcast hosts and people who do podcasts, many different voices and stuff like that. But occasionally there've been a handful of occasions where I've told a few people, I'm just like, I'm not sure that this is for you, you know, and I didn't mean that to be, I wasn't trying to be mean or whatever, but you have a lot of the things like that are really intangible. Like, you know how to speak, like, you know what's good. You have the right energy. You always bring the right energy to whatever it is that you're trying to do. And you have a nice blend of being personable and intelligent. So,
oh, thank you. That's about to be a little piece now.
Yeah.
Yes, but thank you so much, Josh. I appreciate you for coming on. And for you guys tuning in now, tuning in later on, please follow at Brooklyn Podcasting Studios. Is with an S or just studio? Studio.
Just studio.
At Brooklyn Podcasting Studio. All the podcast. Look at all the different podcasts on there. He has something for everyone. Literally everyone. And yeah, thank you. We have a whole hour and a half of nothing but gems, and I'm so excited about this.
Yeah, I could have kept talking, but I actually got to get back to I got to get back to editing. But if anybody has any follow-up questions, whatever, I'd probably say yeah, you could DM me at Brooklyn Podcasting Studio, but like it's really hard for me to go through. I get so much spam. Hit me up via email, brooklynpodcasting@gmail.com. That's the best way to reach me if you have any questions. Like if you just have questions about podcasting, whether you even want to come to the studio or not, I'll answer them.
You do consultations, right?
And I do consultations now. You have to pay for my consultations, but
it's worth it. It's worth it.
I tell you right now, it's worth it. You
are like legit legendary.
Appreciate you, Nikki. Really do. All right.
Thank you so much, Josh. Go back to editing. I know you have so much to do.
And for any of my people that are on here, definitely follow Bag Talk with JiJi. You can also follow her at Gion. Was it Gion.mc?
Yes. JIONNE.MC.
Yeah, please follow her. She's great. She has lots of good content. She's had lots of great other speakers on that are probably more talented and more astute than I am.
Oh, stop. There's a reason why you're here. Stop. Yeah. We don't do negative talk.
But I appreciate you. Have a good night.
Bye.